Have you ever wondered why some people, some organizations, just seem to soar, like they effortlessly attract talent, loyalty, while others, well, they struggle even with all the resources in the world?
Absolutely. Or, why some leaders can inspire just incredible action, this real creativity, almost like a magnetic force.
Yeah. And others barely keep their teams motivated. It's a puzzle, isn't it?
It really is.
Today on the deep dive, we're going to unpack something that's surprisingly simple, but also kind of elusive. It's this powerful force, really, that guides the greatest innovators, the biggest companies, even these huge social movements.
We're talking about your why.
Exactly, your why. We're diving deep into a really profound book today that reveals how you can uncover this core purpose, how you live by it, and how you let it, light up every decision you make.
Yeah, it's quite a journey we're taking you on. We want to understand how starting with why can genuinely transform things, whether you're leading a team, maybe building a business, or honestly, just looking for more clarity in your own life. It's about getting this core truth that separates people who just do stuff from those who truly inspire.
Okay, let's unpack this. The book uses a great story. Picture this. It's August 1963, incredibly hot day in Washington, D.C. Hundreds of thousands of people are gathered, all different backgrounds. Now, they weren't there for a handout or, to hear some politician read a new bill.
No.
They felt connected to something bigger.
Yeah.
And that day, Martin Luther King Jr., he didn't get up on the Lincoln Memorial steps and give a 10-point plan.
Right. No policy detail.
No, he said, I have a dream.
Yeah.
He painted this vivid picture of a future, a vision. It wasn't what needed to be done, but why it mattered so much.
Yeah.
And that why, it just ignited a massive movement.
Such a powerful example.
It really is. And this observation, this power of starting with why, is actually what set Simon Sinek, the author we're looking at, on his own path. He was apparently at a real low point.
Yeah, I remember reading that his business was struggling.
Yeah. Passion fading, questioning everything. And he hit on this fundamental question. Why are some people and organizations just so much more successful, so much more inspiring than others? It didn't seem to matter about resources or education or even experience sometimes.
And he started seeing this thread, right? Connecting people like King, companies like Apple, even pioneers like the Wright brothers.
Exactly.
And that thread led him to develop this framework he calls the Golden Circle. It sounds simple, maybe, but it's incredibly profound. Imagine 3 circles, one inside the other.
Okay.
At the very center, the absolute core, is the why. This is your purpose, your cause, your belief, why you do what you do. And crucially, it's not about making money. That's a result.
Right. The purpose behind it.
Precisely. Then surrounding that is the how. This is your unique process, what makes you different, how you actually bring that why to life.
Your unique value proposition, maybe.
Sort of, yeah. Your differentiating approach. And then on the very outside ring is the what. This is the easiest part to identify: your products, your services, the tangible results of your work, what you actually do.
Okay. Why, how, what, inside out.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. Most people, most organizations, they communicate completely backwards. They start from the outside in. They tell you what they do, maybe how they do it differently, but they almost never articulate why they bother doing it in the first place.
Give us an example.
Okay, think about a typical tech company, Company A. They might market like this. We make great smartphones. They're beautifully designed, easy to use, packed with features. Want to buy one?
Right. Standard pitch. Focus on the what and how.
Totally. Now contrast that with how Apple, especially in their classic campaigns, communicates. They start from the inside out. Their message is more like, everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. That's the why. The way we challenge the status quo, here comes the how, is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers and smartphones. That's the what. Want to join us? It's an invitation to be part of their belief.
Wow, that's a fundamentally different approach. It feels different just hearing it.
Doesn't it? And this isn't just some clever marketing trick. This gets really interesting because it lines up perfectly with how our brains are built.
Okay, biology time.
Yeah, a little bit. So our brain isn't just one lump. The newest part, evolutionarily speaking, is the outer layer, the neocortex.
Right, the thinking part.
Exactly. It handles rational thought, analysis, language. That's the part that understands the what, features, facts, figures.
Got it.
But deeper inside, you have the limbic brain. This is much older, more primal. It's responsible for our feelings, trust, loyalty, emotion, and critically, it drives all our decision making. All of it.
Okay, emotions and decisions.
Yeah. And here's the absolute key. The limbic brain has no capacity for language. It doesn't understand words like features or benefits. It operates entirely on feeling, on gut instinct.
So when companies just talk what?
They're only talking to the rational neocortex. You might understand them, you might even agree logically, but they're not tapping into the decision-making center. You won't feel it.
But starting with why?
Starting with why, you bypass the analytical stuff and talk directly to the limbic brain. You connect with the source of trust, loyalty, and behavior. That's why sometimes a decision just feels right, even if you can't quite list all the rational reasons. It's that gut feeling, that connection to the why.
Okay, so if starting with why is so powerful, biologically wired even, why on earth is it so often overlooked? Especially by bigger companies that may be started with a strong purpose.
Yeah, it's a really good question. You picture that like busy marketing meeting you mentioned.
Totally. Budgets, targets, slogans flying around.
But nobody asks, hang on, why are we actually doing this? What do we fundamentally stand for?
It seems mad, but it happens all the time.
It does, and it's often a slow creep. Success, ironically, can be the culprit. Growth brings complexity, right? More people, more layers, more processes.
These get diluted.
Exactly. That original passionate why that maybe the founder had gets buried under procedures, quarterly targets, internal politics. People just lose touch with it.
And their motivation changes.
Yeah. It shifts from that internal drive, that belief, to focusing on external things, salaries, bonuses, climbing the ladder. And let's face it, the what's and the how are just easier to measure.
But they fit neatly on a spreadsheet.
Totally. Why is fuzzier, it's subjective, it's harder to quantify. So in the day-to-day pressure, it often gets pushed aside.
It really is a paradox then. Companies often succeed because of their initial why. But then, as they grow, they kind of lose sight of the very thing that made them successful. And you see the results the book mentions, staggering figures, like nearly 80% of employees feeling disengaged at work.
Yeah, it becomes just a job, a routine. There's no connection to a bigger purpose. It's soul-destroying for people.
And that leads straight into this idea of the loyalty gap, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If you don't have a clear, compelling why, how can you expect real loyalty from employees? They won't feel invested if it's just about the paycheck.
Or customers either, presumably.
Right. If there is no deeper belief system to connect with, your product just becomes a commodity. It's interchangeable. Why should they choose you over the competition if it just comes down to features or price? There's no emotional anchor.
Can you give an example of that contrast?
Sure. Think about, say, Walmart versus Apple again. Walmart's mission is clear. Save people money so they can live better. It's very focused on price and efficiency, the what's and how.
Yeah.
Loyalty to Walmart is often, pretty transactional. If another store offers a lower price, that loyalty can evaporate quickly.
Makes sense.
But Apple, as we talked about, starts with its why. Challenge the status quo. Think differently. That's a belief, a mission. And what happens? Their customers aren't just buying phones or computers. They become passionate advocates. They identify with that mission. They feel part of something.
And that's why starting with why builds loyalty that's much less fragile, much deeper. It's not just about the transaction.
Exactly. When you connect with a company's why, you're not just a customer, you're sort of a member of the tribe. You participate in something bigger.
It explains things like, Apple users being incredibly forgiving if there's a glitch. Their loyalty isn't just about product perfection.
Precisely. It's based on what Apple stands for, that idea of innovation, creativity, pushing boundaries. Or think about Harley-Davidson. People literally tattoo the logo on their bodies.
Yeah, that's not about the bike specs.
Not at all. It's about buying into a lifestyle, a feeling of freedom, independence, rebellion. That's a deep emotional connection to a why.
So loyalty really is emotional, isn't it? Not rational.
Fundamentally. And that trust, that deep loyalty, it gets built when a company's actions consistently match their stated beliefs. When the what and the how genuinely reflect the why, people sense authenticity.
Let's circle back to Martin Luther King Jr. for a second. That I Have a Dream speech.
Yeah.
It wasn't a policy document.
No, not at all.
It was this incredibly powerful articulation of why that future of equality and dignity mattered so deeply. And that why just pulled people together across all lines to spark this world-changing movement.
It's a perfect illustration. Or think about the Wright brothers, another great example from the book.
Oh, yes, the underdogs.
Totally. Operating out of a tiny bicycle shop, barely any funding, no college degrees, yet they invented the airplane.
Well, their main competitor.
Samuel Langley. Rich, famous, incredibly well-connected, huge government grant, top scientists on his team, everything going for him on paper.
So why did the Wright brothers win?
It came down to their why. They had this profound, almost spiritual belief that achieving flight would fundamentally change the course of human history. That deep conviction, that was their driving force. It pushed them through failure after failure.
And it attracted people.
Yes, it attracted a small, passionate team who believed in their mission, not just in the technical challenge. Langley, on the other hand, seemed more motivated by fame and fortune. When his attempts failed spectacularly and the press ridiculed him,
He just gave up.
he quit. There was no deeper why to keep him going through the hardship.
So that inner motivation, that why, it really trumps external resources sometimes.
It often does. The Wright brothers' why made their team incredibly resilient, creative, adaptable. They weren't just engineers punching a clock. They were believers on a mission.
And that attracts the right people too, doesn't it? Not just the technically best, but people who align with the values.
Exactly. That's how you build real trust. Not just competence, but shared belief. It transforms employees from just doing tasks into being true advocates and innovators.
Okay, so we've talked about big companies, historical figures, but let's bring it down to the individual level. What does this mean for you, listening right now? How do you actually find your own why?
Right, the practical side. And the key insight here is that your why isn't something you just invent or, pick off a shelf.
It's not fabricated.
No, it's something you uncover. It's already there inside you. You just need a process to bring it out.
So how do you start that uncovering process?
Well, one really powerful step is to look back. Reflect on your past. Think about moments when you felt truly alive, truly fulfilled. Your greatest achievements, maybe, or times you felt you made a real impact.
Okay, those high points.
Yeah. Ask yourself, what made those moments special? What was the common thread? What impact were you actually making on others? When you start digging into those peak experiences, patterns often emerge.
Like common themes.
Exactly. Do you consistently find yourself drawn to helping people unlock their potential? Or maybe you thrive on solving really complex, messy problems. Or perhaps you're always the one challenging the status quo. These recurring themes point towards your core motivation, your why.
That makes sense. Looking for the patterns.
Another really helpful technique is to talk to someone who knows you really well.
Get an outside perspective.
Yeah, exactly. A close friend, maybe a trusted colleague, family member. Ask them, when have you seen me at my best? What do you think drives me? Sometimes others can see things, patterns in us that we're too close to notice ourselves.
Like holding up a mirror.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They might say something like, you always light up when you're teaching someone something new. That external reflection can be incredibly illuminating.
Okay, so reflection, looking for themes, talking to others. Then what? Do you try to capture it somehow?
Yes. The book suggests crafting a concise why statement. It provides a simple structure to contribute or affect a specific group or cause so that the desired impact or result.
Can you give an example?
Sure, something like to empower creative individuals so that they can bring their unique visions to life, or to build strong communities so that everyone feels a sense of belonging. It should feel authentic and inspiring to you.
And this statement, it's not just words, right? It's meant to be used.
Absolutely. It becomes your filter, your compass for decision-making. Before you take on a new project, a new job, even a significant personal commitment, ask, does this genuinely align with my why? If the answer is yes, go for it with everything you've got. If it's no, have the discipline to say no, even if it looks tempting on the surface. It keeps you focused on what truly matters.
Prevents you from getting sidetracked.
Exactly. But finding your why is really just the beginning. The real magic happens when you start living it every single day.
So it requires commitment.
Unwavering commitment and consistency. Think about Zappos, the online shoe retailer. Their stated why is to deliver happiness.
Right, I've heard about their culture.
It's legendary. And that why isn't just a poster on the wall. It informs everything they do, how they hire people, their incredibly generous customer service policies, even how they treat each other internally. Every action reinforces that core purpose.
So you live it, and then you need to communicate it, presumably.
Yes, and again, it comes back to the golden circle. Communicate from the inside out. Lead with your why. Explain why you do what you do first.
Then the how and what.
Right. Tell stories that illustrate your why in action. Show, don't just tell. Let people see how your purpose makes a difference. And maybe the most crucial part, ensure there's total consistency between what you say you believe and what you actually do.
Actions speak louder than words.
Always. Your why has to be lived authentically, day in and day out, for people to truly believe it and connect with it.
So quite a journey we've been on today. From understanding this golden circle concept and the biology behind it, all the way to these really practical steps for finding, living, and communicating your own why. It seems pretty clear that starting with why isn't just like a business tactic.
No, it's much more fundamental.
It feels like a shift that can really turn ordinary people or organizations into something extraordinary.
I think so. And if you connect it all up, you see that real lasting success doesn't usually come from just chasing profits or metrics. It follows naturally when you pursue meaning.
Meaning first, success follows.
Often, yes. When you operate from a mission that's bigger than just the bottom line, something changes. You become more resilient, more innovative, definitely more passionate. And that energy, that sense of purpose, it's contagious. It resonates deeply with people.
It attracts the right people.
It attracts not just customers or employees, but true believers, advocates, partners, people who want to be part of your journey because of your why. That's how you build something truly sustainable and impactful.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is that your why, it's not some static slogan you figure out once and then frame on the wall.
Definitely not.
It's more like a lifelong journey, isn't it? A compass that guides you through the good times and the tough times. It helps ensure that the choices you make, big and small, add up to something meaningful, a legacy that's bigger than just you.
Yeah, like creating ripples, a ripple effect that keeps going, potentially inspiring others long after you're gone. It's about contributing to something that lasts.